Last time, I described the peoples of the northern swamps. They are hunter-gatherers foraging for tubers and catching fish. Every 30 years, the swamps die, temporarily making the land inhospitable. The people migrate to nearby lands before returning as a new generation of trees grows. However, some spend less time in the swamps than others. The residents of the eastern river basin discovered a grain called rice. High in starch and found in high concentrations all along the riverbanks, it makes an excellent staple. So they started cultivating it to get even more rice. And because they were so tied to the land they were on, they stopped going back to the swamps and became sedentary. Currently, the world is in its Chalcolithic era. The eastern river dwellers have been farming rice for a while, but they're still in the transition zone between hunter-gatherer and farmer, so foraging and hunting remain important to their lifestyle and diet. Every year, the rivers swell, flooding the banks and depositing rich nutrients. Rice grows well in these flooded conditions. However, because the waters of the rice fields are open to the river, this means aquatic wildlife has a habit of getting into the fields. They actually don't mind. Since they came from a swamp, they're used to finding fish and plants in the same place. They like to make a sport of it, holding annual competitions to see who can catch the most fish from their fields. They usually have separate rewards for adolescents and for children. After the floods subside, they let the fields dry out before harvesting the rice. The rice is boiled until soft and eaten with vegetables, beans, meat, and fish. The people of the Eastern Basin don't have livestock, so all animal products come from fishing and hunting. Since they have access to more dry land than their swamp-dwelling cousins, they do less fishing and more hunting. Just as the swamp dwellers are divided into tribes, so too are the river dwellers. However, the swamp dwellers move around a lot. I wouldn't say they're strictly nomadic, as they have long-term dwellings in both the treetops and their dwellings outside the swamps, but because they migrate between these two locations, and because the swamps are a shared territory, they don't really have strong ties to the specific regions in the swamps. However, for the river dwellers, the basin is their home, and they have a much stronger tie to the lands on which their homes are built. Having access to good, fertile land is essential for maintaining a stable source of food for the members of the tribe, so the river dwellers are very defensive over their section of the floodplains. Because gaining access to better land and not losing your own is so important, every tribe is almost always at war with some other tribe over territory disputes. But since they're all roughly equal in fighting power, the tribal division of land is quite stable, and even if some of them are bigger than others, no one tribe dominates. Yet. The river dwellers place a lot of value on physical prowess and fighting ability. This comes from a combination of different factors. First, the territory disputes. Second, women have historically gained prestige from fighting crocodiles, which can be translated into feats of bravery and physical prowess. Third, their magic, enabling women to walk on water, is one that enhances physical mobility. The river dwellers believe that AFABs were granted the ability to walk on water, while AMABs were granted greater musculature, giving both sexes equal chance in physical aptitude. For this reason, the river dwellers are rather more egalitarian with regards to their view of men and women, though women are still statistically more likely to go to war and gain prestige in their community. But another key value of the river dwellers is community. This bond is strongest within the tribe as they all live and work communally, viewing themselves as part of a team effort. The greatest fighter may be lauded as the most impressive and respected member of the community and giving a leadership position as a result, but they're still expected to serve the interests of the tribe as a whole, and if they don't, the people might just decide that someone else makes a better warrior. Their sense of community and cooperation extends beyond tribe boundaries as well. While there certainly is a lot of war and fighting between tribes that aren't at war with each other will be on surprisingly good terms even if they'd been at war before, which is statistically very likely. They don't hold grudges on account of past wars and will gladly chat with members of other tribes. Perhaps this explains their amiable relations with foreigners. To them, foreigners are just members of a different tribe. They may look or act different, and they may not speak the same language, but they're really no different from all the other tribes. The Sun Valley people trade extensively with each other and also with the peoples of both the northern swamps and the southern steppes.